I am beyond embarrassed by the behavior of any leader who is incapable of having a revolutionary conversation with another leader of a country for this time in our world. It is with great sadness and outrage that I say these words. As the world watches, warns us, shares their experiences, and sits in fear watching our country be torn apart by threats of world war and inaction to suppress its people, many Americans, ignorant of what tyranny is, converge on making this country great. What is this country without checks and balances? What is this country, land of the free, without freedom, an idea never created for all? What is this illusion of freedom when children die at the hands of man by design, on purpose, for their gain? We have been warned over centuries through literature that beholds the time of tyranny, and we are here. I see the world gradually being turned into a wilderness. I hear ever-approaching thunder which will destroy us too. Words of Anne Frank. 2 + 2 = 5, George Orwell. This is a slogan used by the party to demonstrate its power over citizens' minds and perceptions. It is an example of doublethink, a concept that involves believing the opposite of what is true. Beware too often. We say what we hear others say. We think what we are told that we think. We see what we are permitted to see. Words of Octavia Butler. Technological progress has merely provided us with more efficient means for going backwards. Aldous Huxley. Better never means better for everyone. It always means worse for someone. But who can remember pain once it's over? All that remains of it is a shadow. Not in the mind, even. In the flesh. Margaret Atwood. The president is a nationalist, which is not at all the same thing as a patriot. A nationalist encourages us to be our worst and then tell us that we are being the best. A nationalist, although endlessly brooding on power, victory, defeat, revenge, wrote Orwell, tends to be uninterested in what happens in the real world. As the novelist Danleo Kist put it, nationalism has no universal values, aesthetic or ethical. A patriot, by contrast, wants the nation to live up to its ideals, which means asking us to be our best selves. A patriot must be concerned with the real world, which is the only place where this country can be loved and sustained. A patriot has universal values, standards by which he judges this nation, always wishing it well and wishing that it would do better. In summary, we are living in a moment that echoes the warnings of history and literature, a moment where nationalism is disguised as patriotism. Truth is twisted and freedom is an illusion for many. Leadership has failed us, allowing fear, suppression, and violence to define our nation rather than justice and integrity. The idea of greatness is meaningless without accountability, checks and balances, and true freedom for all. Now more than ever, we must reject blind allegiance, question power, and demand that our country live up to its ideals before history repeats itself once again. We are in the process of that. The idea of greatness is meaningless without accountability, checks and balances, and true freedom for all. This is the time for us to work toward that. True freedom for all. It is over. This moment that echoes the warnings of history and literature, a moment where nationalism is disguised as patriotism. I don't care what side of the aisle you are on. This moment echoes the warnings of history. A moment where nationalism is disguised as patriotism. Be responsible within yourself and recognize where that can be happening in you. There's no need to be ashamed. This is part of the human condition. This is part of taking in information all the time. And we are saying what we hear. We are dividing on what we hear. We are saying the words of what we hear, what other people say. It is time to tune in. Again, I don't care what side of the aisle you are on, but you must tune in to yourself, not the conditioning and the area and the county and the city and the state that you're from. You, as a human being, it's time to tune in. It's time to remember ourselves as we were when we came into this world. We are not the people who divide this way. The conditioning of our past, the conditioning of our parents, the conditioning of the government, the conditioning of TikTok, the conditioning of Facebook, the conditioning of Instagram, and wherever you're headed next. It is time to tune into yourself. It is time to remember who you are and what it's like to keep life alive, what it is like to keep harmony. You do it all the time in your families. You do your best all the time. And you work hard, whether you're a farmer, a seamstress, a photographer, a nurse aide. We are working so hard to keep our families safe, to keep our communities safe. Tune in. Tune in and then tune out and look to your neighbor and find out what it is that they need. I don't care. Creed, kind, color, it doesn't matter. What do they need? Just ask. Most people will tell you, I'm okay, because we are conditioned to always be okay. We are conditioned to not ask for help. So practice that. Practice just asking, hey, is there anything I can do for you today? And see what happens. Reach out to every neighbor you have. Tell them hello. See if there's something that you can learn today from the people around you, and stop yelling and having an opinion about everything. I know as I say this, I've just shared my opinion and my thoughts and my anger and my outrage. But I'm telling you what, if you know me, and if you don't know me, I'll tell you. I am in the lives of the people around me, and I'm checking in. What can I do for you today? How can I take care of you today? Do you need any support? And you know what? Most people will say, no, I'm good, thanks. Thank you so much. But the intention creates change. The intention makes a difference. The intention says you're not alone. The intention says I have a neighbor. The intention says I care. And together, we're here.